Hey y'all, it's me, Kim. Let's talk about midterms. So, I have a lot of conflicting feelings about this. It's very much a mixed bag of emotions. Yesterday evening, I was very upset and just pissed off. And this morning, I was still upset. But now, I've had 12, 18 hours to sit with everything that happened yesterday, and I'm cool. I'm really okay. I'm going to be mad forever because you get mad when you feel like something unfair or unjust has happened, but I don't have that burning feeling in me. So let's start with some good news, some surprising news. So the district that I live in flipped blue, which I was not expecting at all. That is a huge deal. Huge. I live in a red state that I had heard was the reddest state in the country. I was not expecting for the district that I vote in to flip at all. In fact, the day of the election, I was feeling real lazy. There were no state questions that really moved me. And I had, for a second, yesterday morning, the thought of like, does my vote even matter? Like, why are we doing this? Like, and I know better. I know better than that. But that really crossed my mind to not even go. But of course, girl, come on now. Come on now. Of course, I went because I'm me. And my vote does matter. Oh, it feels so good. It just feels so good to know that you helped do a thing. Like, I'm all in on voting. I mean, I was already all in on voting, but now I'm really, really in. I would not have even known that the district was flipped if I had not been watching MSNBC last night. And by the way, cable news sucks. Cable news sucks, okay? Anyway, I love Rachel Maddow, but come on now. Those dinosaurs on there, get out of here. So anyways, I was watching MSNBC and they flashed a district and I was like, wait a second. Because, I know where my district is. I was like, that's my district. Wait, I live there. And so now a Democrat has a seat that has been held by a Republican for over 40 years. What the heck? I'm so happy about that. So in my district, the candidate won by 2,500 votes, less than 2,500 votes. And, as I was reading the postmortems and going over everything that happened, it really struck me that one of the reasons why I'm so outspoken about the need for broad coalitions is because of where I live. It's because of where I grew up and where I live now. We would only get Republican representation if the only people voting Democrat are people of color. My district is 70% white. 70%. My representative won by 2,300 votes. She got a little bit over 50% of the vote. I am so glad that my people came out and did what we needed to do, but my people only make up like 10 to 15% of this district. I don't know the exact numbers because, it's been a while since the census came out, so I don't know what the real numbers are, but according to the last census, it was like 9%. I know my people come out and do what we need to do. But I am happy that some fed up white folks said, no, oh no, we're not doing this no more. Fuck Trump. Because the incumbent is a Republican, and like last election, he won by like 30 points or something. Something crazy. Something crazy. Okay. So anyways, the fact that a whole bunch of white people decided that they wanted to vote Democrat, that's a positive outcome for me. I'm a Black person who has lived in the Midwest and the South my entire life, except for the years that I was in college. And I had even internalized that I want to live in the South. I'm going to live in the South. But with regards to statewide representation, it just was not possible. I had just made peace with that. That has changed for me after last night. And that's a big deal. Like, it's so crazy to me how much that election has changed for me, what is possible, because I believe in elections. I believe in voting. I'm a big voting advocate, y'all know. But I really had resigned myself to the fact that I love the South. I'm going to live in the South forever. And everywhere I live is just going to be red. And now I don't feel that anymore. And that is not possible if different groups of people, including white folks who don't want to be Republicans no more, don't come in and vote blue. Don't come in and vote Democrat. And I kind of feel like if you have not lived in that kind of situation, you can't understand. I think that the math doesn't work for you if you have not lived in a place where it is literally not possible for a win to happen if white folks do not vote with you. That is literally the case where I live. Moving on. So that happened. I was very excited. Suck it, Trump. Fuck that guy. But of course, I was very, very, very disappointed because I was deeply invested in 3 statewide races across the South. I didn't even think about Gillum because I thought he was good. The polling on him was so good. It was so favorable. I was just like, okay, he got it. So I decided I was going to invest all of my time and energy into Stacey Abrams. I thought she had a good chance because in the polling, she was at a statistical tie with Brian Kemp. But I was worried, right? Because we know that Brian Kemp is a cheater, as Republicans do. They cheat, they lie, and they steal. And I knew he was going to do everything possible because he was the Secretary of State and therefore he works in the capacity of overseeing elections. I knew that it was going to be an uphill battle. And I knew that unless Abrams won by like a full percentage point or more, that she was going to lose. I don't know if that makes sense, but like I knew that even if it was close, that it was going to be, this election was going to be stolen. I just knew that, so I was worried. I knew that Beto in Texas was not going to win because I lived in Texas for 15 years. I still have lots of family there. I know Texas. I'm there quite often. And so I was very, very proud of the outcome for him. You know, I was prepared for it. And so I was still very, very sad because I was sad because throughout the night, MSNBC would show the projections and they would show him like tied. And I'd be like, oh my God, he's tied with Ted Cruz. And then they would show him up a little bit. And I'd be like, oh my God, he's up. But I knew. But Florida. Man, Florida. So how could you not love Andrew Gillum, honestly? I mean, I know how, you know, if you racist, that's easy. But Andrew Gillum is genuinely one of and I realized, I don't know, does anybody notice I use the word genuinely a lot? I use the word genuinely all the time. I don't know. I'm trying to convey to you that I am very sincere. But he is really one of the most naturally gifted politicians I've ever seen. So, so great. His debate performances were spectacular. His debate performances were so good that we gonna be quoting them. Do you know how skilled you have to be to do that? Andrew Gillum made memes, okay?
My grandmother used to say a hit dog will holler. He has spoken at racist conferences. He's accepted a contribution and would not return it from someone who referred to the former president of the United States as a Muslim, Nigger. When asked to return that money, he said no. He's using that money to now fund negative ads. Now, I'm not calling Mr. DeSantis a racist. I'm simply saying the racists believe he's a racist.
Spectacular. His interviews were so good. He did an amazing interview with Trevor Noah on The Daily Show. He did a good interview on The Breakfast Club. I mean, his family is good. He's stayed clean in his electoral life, even though, yeah, they did try to get him caught up, but that's fake news. Don't believe that. It just made absolute sense to me that he would win. When I realized yesterday that he was going to lose, I was distraught, really, because he was always up in the polls. And I just felt like, wow, if these kinds of black folks cannot win, then where are we for real? Where are we really? If these exceptional, dynamic, charismatic, organized black people can't win, then what's really going on? And I do think that some of my investment in Abrams and in Gillum is absolutely regional. I'm a black person raised in the South. My father is from Alabama. My mother's people are from Georgia. I think that these folks represented the potential for a new era in black Southern politics. I really, really do. They were unabashedly progressive. They were just regular chicken eating, electric slide dancing black people. And I think that maybe if you live in a different part of the country where statewide representatives who are black are just more normalized, it might be difficult to understand why it's such a big deal. But that's just not a thing in the South, And so I was just really, really sad when Gillum and Abrams lost the way they did, because I absolutely believe that those races were stolen. I did not prepare myself. I don't know if I adequately prepared myself for the aftermath of being invested and then seeing them lose. I don't blame black folks at all, not one bit. I think if you are trying to blame black people for what happened in Georgia and Florida, you are so wrong. When people are standing in line for 3.5 hours because there was a quote unquote mistake, or enough voting machines weren't ordered, or the county forgot to bring power cords to plug in the machines and the battery for the voting machines runs out, that's not about turnout. That's not about turnout. That is not about what black people do. What can you even do about that? Who has time to stand in line for 4 hours to vote? I've really been thinking about this. Girl, I woke up on Tuesday and I was like, my stomach hurts. I don't want to go. I can't even imagine. I can't say for sure that I would stand in line for 4 hours to vote. I cannot. And so if you did that in the state of Georgia, in Fulton County, in Gwinnett County, you get nothing but respect from me. Nothing but respect. If you stood in line for 3 hours in Broward County in Florida, I'm not going to criticize you. No. It's vote theft, plain and simple. Plain and simple. So I was upset. And, I know, you should have known. This is America, whatever. It doesn't matter how many times you're abused. Abuse still hurts. That is a function of the human condition. That's how I feel about white supremacy in this country. We're in an abusive relationship with it. So I will say now I no longer believe polls. I used to be on the poll train. I love Nate Silver, the best analyst of polls. They don't do polling at 538, but he analyzes and his team analyzes polls. I am off polls. I think the polls were so wrong in Florida that I will not be believing polls anymore. I also have to say to y'all, my God, this is so annoying to me. Exit polling is the worst and most unreliable form of polling. It really pains me when I see people sharing exit polls and extrapolating all these conclusions for exit polls because everybody who knows anything about this stuff has said that exit polls are faulty. They are not to be believed. The methodology is messed up, and we use these exit polls that are really not worth anything to draw all of these conclusions about what's going on in this country that are wrong. Real political scientists had to come back after 2016 and be like, y'all got this all wrong because y'all was following the exit polls. There are quite a few articles saying the exit polls were bad. And that's not actually what happened, what you're saying. So can we not? Can we not? Okay, so let's talk about Beto. I really like Beto, even though, Beto he was doing a full-on Barack Obama impression. I'm just saying. Now, I love Beto. If I lived in Texas, if I voted in Texas, I would have voted for Beto hands down. But he was doing some real Barack Obama stuff. I don't blame him, though. I do not blame him. Get with the winning team, ho. The fact that Beto lost by 2.6 points is amazing. Amazing. I grew up in Texas. I go there all the time. It is amazing. Ted Cruz, whom I like to refer to as Turd Cruz, won by 16 points in 2012. 16 points. Turd Cruz, that worm of a man, won by 16 points in 2012. The fact that Beto was able to get that down to 2.6, that is amazing. And people, the the Pepe people on Twitter, when I said, no, this loss is actually a win, were like, no, a loss is a loss. No, y'all don't even understand. In 2012, y'all need to be worried. In Florida, in Georgia, in Texas, where these candidates have done so much work, spent so much money building democratic infrastructure, registering people to vote, inculcating in people's minds that their vote matters, that voting is a worthwhile thing to do. In Carol Anderson's book, One Person, No Vote, she made this point that voting is a habit, right? When you don't vote, that's just your way of life. And when you do vote, that becomes your way of life. So bringing all of these people into the fold in Texas, all that money that Beto spent, bringing all these people into the fold, especially because felon disenfranchisement is now gone in Florida. So we have that whole new electorate, bringing all these people into the fold. Stacey Abrams is a veteran of registering people to vote. We have so many new people who have come to the table and said, no, voting is a thing that I do now. That is amazing. Look, I know I already said I'm not going to get my hopes up no more, but I can't help it. I just feel like the way that the demographics of this country are shifting, trouble don't last always. I grew up in church, so I have to make it churchy. I do think that it is absolutely possible for something different to happen in Texas, for Texas to be purple/blue, for Florida to be blue in 2 to 4 to 6 years, for Georgia to be these things are coming if we stay diligent. So we lost, but so much was gained. And in Texas, which is a crazily gerrymandered district, I got into that in my video on voter suppression. flipped, 2 congressional districts, 12 state house districts flipped. That's such a big deal, you guys. Like, I am, as sad as I am about the top of the ticket races, there were so many victories that mean that everything's not lost. Democrats gained control of the House. The analysts say that that's because of votes switching in suburban and urban district. The district that I live in is urban/suburban, so that makes perfect sense to me. Lots of black women won. Lucy McBath, whose son Jordan Davis was killed by a man because the man said that Jordan Davis was playing his music too loud, so the white man shot him in the head. She won her district by 0.7%. 0.7%. That race went back and forth all night. At one point, she was down by 800, and then she was down by 150, and then she was down by 57, and then it flipped. You guys, your votes matter. I've just re-energized myself. I like doing this because I've just re-energized myself in believing in our voting system, in our electoral politics. Ayanna Pressley won in Massachusetts. She's a truly great politician. Another brilliant, extremely gifted politician. Ilhan Omar won. Johanna Hayes, just, 100 women are going to be in Congress next year. It's great. It's good. I don't know what's going to happen now. I hope that Nancy Pelosi loses her job. I just think she does not represent the future of the Democratic Party. It's time. It's time. Okay. Can you feel a brand new day? Because I can. And Nancy Pelosi does not need to be at the head. And I just think we are at a point where younger people, more people of color are at the table, and we're going to carve out a new future. I gotta say, I'm very, very crazy competitive. One of the things that pissed me off the most when I woke up this morning was about how Donald Trump was going to be able to brag about Ron DeSantis winning, that fuckhead, about Brian Kemp winning, about fucking Ted Cruz winning. That just really, really, really pissed me off. I do wonder what kind of position that Democrats are going to be in for the next presidential election. I gotta say, I don't think it's a good one because of all sorts of structural reasons, but also because Donald Trump mobilizes people. Donald Trump got to be up there bragging about his wins because when he went out to campaign for folks, they did win. They did. We are not past Trumpism. What we have now is a clash between the hardcore Trumpers and the hardcore anti-Trumpers. And it's like, I don't really know who is really for real gonna win. Trump's base is real, We saw that. Not only in the governorship of Florida, but also in the Senate race where Rick Naked Mole Rat Scott won. Ugh. Anyways, I am happy about what happened last night. Kind of. I don't know. Like I said at the beginning, mixed emotions. I don't know where this is going to go. I do hope that Democrats show some backbone. I hope that everybody is not, I think it's okay to be down, but, not out. And I feel a little down, but I'm certainly not out. So that's all I have to say about that. Share your midterm election reactions in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for listening. Love you. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me. Like, share, subscribe. Become a patron on Patreon. Grab some merch. Join the text email list. That's all I have. Thank you guys. I feel like this was really long. Sorry. Bye.